What's going on, guys? It's Marcus here with Discover Ignite, and today I actually want to talk about my story about how meditation actually helped me through one of the darkest times in my life. Now, about a year and a half ago, I found out my father was actually officially diagnosed with ALS. And at the same time, I was actually going through a real rough patch in my marriage to where it eventually led to a divorce. And so during that time, right, I had 2 young kids, so I was trying to take care of my kids. I had a full-time job, it was just a lot of stress all at one time. And I was having panic attacks, and I was just extremely stressed out. I didn't know how to take it. I was also finding out that my health was declining rapidly, and I might be on medication. And it was just extremely stressful time in my life. And I have never dealt with that much stress all in one moment, right? I didn't really know what to do. I didn't want to take any medication, right? I hated taking medication, first of all, and especially for, something like my mind. I didn't want to feel like my mind was being altered by some kind of chemical, right? And so I took time, right? Like all this stuff was happening, and again, I didn't know what to do. I started briefly looking into, researching about meditation, and I was like, well, you have to remember, there are many times in my life that I've actually tried meditation, right? I've gone through, periods where I've done like 10 days or like 30 days and try to meditate. And it was just extremely hard. Like I couldn't focus, right? I couldn't do any of that. And it was just tough. I would find my mind would wander. It seems like I would be actually, doing the meditation, and then all of a sudden I'd find that I would be thinking about all different kinds of random things, right? And so it was extremely hard to concentrate and to meditate. And again, when it came back to that time where I didn't know if I would do meditation, right? So I was like, well, I've never actually read a book. I've just researched a bunch of stuff online, kind of just briefly picked up some techniques, and I was like, that's probably also why I didn't originally work either. And so I picked up some books, right? And one was How to Code Your Mind or something like that. And then another one was another Dr. Joe Dispenza book. And I started reading those, right? And they helped me a lot, right? They gave me a better understanding of what I should actually be expecting when I'm doing meditation and a lot of the practices that I should be doing. So the books actually gave me a good point of reference, right, as to what exactly I should be expecting, what I should be doing, the duration of meditation. Now, the duration of meditation, it really does not matter, but I was trying to, calm my mind, right, and try to essentially escape, right? Because I didn't want to be that person that relied on, drinking or anything like that, just finding a different crutch, right? I wanted to actually do it a healthy way, a positive way that I can actually benefit my life, right? Because I have young kids I had to think about. I couldn't just, try to escape by running to alcohol or, finding some other outlet that wasn't gonna benefit my life. Because when I originally started, I was just, concentrating on the breath, right? And I was doing this initially too when I started reading. I was like, well, I'm just gonna start concentrating on my breath, going back to some of those old techniques that I had just briefly read over. So I was just concentrating my breath, and I found that in itself was really hard for me, especially for the first week. I was like, I'm gonna dedicate myself to this, and this is what I'm gonna do. And so I was just concentrating on my breath, and it took a while, right? It took a while for me to really hone in, and as soon as my brain would wander, I'd be like, no, concentrate on the breath, and then in and out through the nose, and I kept doing that. And then I noticed I was slowly able to start building up longer periods of time where my mind wasn't drifting all the time, right? And that's the hardest thing when you get into meditation, because your mind likes to wander, but if you can find a focal point, right, And a lot of these focal points, you know, they come down to breathing. So you can concentrate on something, especially it's okay to let your mind wander, but you want to kind of bring it back in, right, to the breath, and try to concentrate as long as you can for the breath, as long as you can. And then you'll notice your mind starts wandering again. You just got to keep bringing it back in. And then, you know, the longer you do it, the better you get, like anything else, right? And so my meditation was getting better, right? I think I got up to like close to 8 minutes, to where, you know, I was getting to where my mind actually wouldn't wander, right? I would be concentrated on the breath. Then I got to the point where it's like, well, I want to do more, right? I want to actually be able to feel like I'm getting more out of this. Yes, it like calms my mind, but I wanted more out of it, right? And I was reading it, like, again, I was reading those other books, and so there was other different things, like you can do gratitude at the end of your session, or you can do affirmations. Like, there was a bunch of different pieces you could add on to your meditation. And so what I wanted to do was find, you know, more out of it. I wanted to get more out of it. I was doing the 8 minutes. Again, it did help, you know, slow my mind down and stop it from, you know, thinking about, you know, my father and my marriage and all these other different stresses, right? And try to like focus on what I needed to focus on. And so I actually picked up an app, I think it was called Headspace or something like that. And I started doing Headspace. I think they had like a free trials for like 7 days or something, if I recall. And so I started doing that, and it was a guided meditation, and that actually helped a lot, right? It helped me really hone in and focus a lot better. And again, I did that, and I let the free trial run out, and that was essentially it with that, right? But it really gave me more of an idea of what I wanted to do, right? It helped me focus better. And so, you know, I took that, and then I started implementing some of the techniques I was learning from these books, right? Like the gratitude and the affirmations and the visualizations, you know, trying to do these mind movies and everything like that. And, you know, focusing on my future and what I wanted out of life, and being detailed about it. And, you know, giving your mind that time to just free it of all the daily stresses, and come to a point to where you can start implementing or introducing these new images, these new ideas of what you want to correct in your life, right? And so again, I started doing that and started implementing these things I was learning, and finding it helped a lot, right? It took all that stress that I was having, and it calmed me down, right? It really made me focus. So the meditations were actually helping me focus like a lot, and they were helping me just, again, approach everything with essentially a new mindset, right? And not allow myself to, you know, get caught up in everything that was going on. Yes, there was a lot going on, and I had to still address those issues, but it let me come at it at a clearer angle, right? As opposed to emotional, because I didn't want to be emotional, making decisions that would, you know, affect my entire life, right? And so I was just trying to clear my mind all the time, and I was doing this again for like 30 days or something. Was, you know, the initial just breathing, and then the headspace, and then I moved over to started implementing these other things, and it was still a little hard, but, you know, the more I kept with it, the better I started getting, and the more benefits I started getting out of it. And that was it. Like, it really helped me, you know. And, you know, there are some days when those emotions just are overwhelming, and you would just sit and you would meditate, right? And you would calm it down, and, you know, try to gain composure yourself by meditation. And that's where I found it really helped me, you know, like it helped me deal with the anxiety. Like, I haven't had any anxiety since I've been doing meditation, and there's been a lot of other stresses, especially recently, that I'm able to do meditation, and it helps, right? It helps me focus me back in, helps me bring my, you know, my composure back, and approach it at a different angle. And that's always extremely useful, especially when you are in a situation that is extremely stressful, and, you know, you feel like maybe you're dealing with anxiety, or you're dealing with depression, and, you know, these things can seem extremely hard to deal with. And you know, again, I wasn't one to want to take medication. I didn't feel that that was the way, right? That was just addressing the symptom. That wasn't actually addressing what the real problems were. And so, you know, just looking internally and trying to fix myself internally by doing the meditations and being mindful, you know, has really helped me. It's really helped, you know, hold me together, right? And so for those people out there that are wondering, you know, meditation doesn't seem like it's one of those things that you're like, yeah, there's no way that works, right? I mean, I was at that point I was many times in my life, especially at a young age, I was like, meditation, why would you do that? That doesn't make any sense, you know. It seems so far-fetched that something like that would actually be beneficial. But, you know, our minds work in ways that we can't explain, right? And there are things that do happen in life that we can't explain it, right? Now there's more science coming out about, you know, the real benefits of meditation. And I've always I was never a believer. And until I was forced in that position where I wasn't giving myself an option, that this is what I was gonna do. I knew there was a lot of benefits to it. I knew it would be hard work, and I continued with it. I stuck with it, and I've meditated every day since then. You know, even, you know, if I don't meditate in the morning, I make sure before I go to bed at night that I meditate and I do some kind of mindfulness and just try to, you know, essentially just ease my patience, essentially just refocus on what I'm trying to accomplish, right? And not allow, you know, past events to creep itself back into my life, right? To stay present in the moment. And if we're not present in the moment, you know, if we're living in the past or dwelling in the past, we can't, you know, fix our futures, right? We can't focus on the futures that we want. We can't do anything because we're so fixated on the past. And so meditation, again, really helps with that. And I'm a strong believer of it now, as opposed to, you know, you tell me that 2-3 years ago and I would have told you, yeah, there's no way I'm doing meditation. That doesn't make any sense logically. So, but it does nowadays. I could definitely say that it makes perfect sense. And if you're ever wondering about doing some kind of meditation, I would highly suggest that you do it. I do have a beginner's meditation series that would help guide you into a specific meditation that could help you out. I also do share the meditation that I particularly do. And so if you guys enjoyed this video, hit that like button. And until next time, I will see you guys later.